My husband was sleeping with my best friend, and I found out the day I planned to announce my pregnancy. I'm Clara Wilson, and this is the story of how I turned betrayal into triumph. It all began in our cozy living room in the suburbs of Atlanta, where I sat on the couch, clutching a glass of wine. My husband, Aiden, was laughing at a joke told by my best friend, Mia, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders, catching the light of the lamp. Her smile was too warm, too intimate, and I felt something inside me tighten. This was the evening I had planned to tell Aiden about our future child, a miracle we had been waiting for. But instead, I uncovered a truth that shattered my world into pieces. It started 2 days ago when I stumbled upon their messages. Aiden, as usual, forgot to log out of his account on our shared laptop. In the deleted folder, buried among spam, I found their conversation. "Are you sure she hasn't suspected anything?" Mia wrote. "Clara's too caught up in her work. She won't notice a thing," Aiden replied. Each word was a knife twisting in my heart. I scrolled through their messages, tears blurring my vision. They had been meeting for 6 months. 6 months of lies, 6 months of secret rendezvous in hotels, 6 months while I dreamed of a family, picking out names for our future baby. I sat in the darkness of our bedroom, staring at the screen as rage mingled with pain. I could have stormed into the living room where Aiden was watching TV, thrown the laptop in his face, and demanded answers. But that's not me. I'm Clara, the one who always keeps it together, and I decided my revenge would be cold, calculated, and public. The next day, I called Mia, forcing my voice to sound normal. "Mia, let's have dinner at Blue Ridge. I'll invite Aiden, Lucas, Sophie. It'll be like old times." She agreed, her voice brimming with enthusiasm, and I could almost hear her smile through the phone. That only fueled my resolve. She had no idea I knew the truth, and that was my advantage. I chose Blue Ridge for a reason. Its panoramic windows overlooking Atlanta's city lights, crystal chandeliers, and reputation as a hotspot for the city's elite made it the perfect stage for my plan. I hired a private investigator, a man named Mr. Cole, who in just 48 hours gathered everything I needed. Photos of Aiden and Mia leaving the Grand Plaza Hotel, their embraces by a car, their laughter at a corporate party for Crossway Industries, which I missed due to a work deadline. But the real gem was evidence that Aiden had been funding their affair with company money. Hotels, restaurants, even Mia's new car, all paid for with funds he embezzled from Crossway Industries. This was my trump card. The evening before the dinner, I stood in front of the mirror in our bedroom, slipping into a red dress with a deep neckline, the one Aiden once called his favorite. I looked at my reflection. Dark hair swept into an elegant updo, subtle makeup hiding the traces of a sleepless night. "You've got this, Clara," I whispered to myself, adjusting the diamond earrings he gave me for our 3rd anniversary. This wasn't just a dinner. It was war. I walked into Blue Ridge with my head held high, feeling the eyes of other guests on me. The table was set for 6. Me, Aiden, Mia, Lucas, Sophie, and our mutual friend Jacob. I sat at the head of the table, Aiden to my right, his hand resting casually on the back of my chair. Mia sat across from me, nervously twisting her napkin, her perfect manicure glinting in the candlelight. My heart pounded, but outwardly, I was calm, like a lake before a storm. "Friends," I began, raising my champagne glass. My voice was steady, though inside I was burning. "Thank you for coming. Tonight is special to me." Everyone smiled, expecting a toast. Aiden leaned closer, his breath brushing my neck. "Clara, you're absolutely glowing tonight," he said. his words, once enough to make my heart race, now sounding like mockery. "Really?" I turned to him, flashing a smile so sweet it made him pause. "And you, Aiden, do you glow when you spend your nights with Mia?" Silence crashed over the table like someone had muted the room. Sophie choked on her wine, her eyes widening. Lucas, sitting next to Mia, stiffened, his hand freezing over his glass. Mia paled, her lips trembling. Aiden tried to laugh, but it came out strained, like a taut string. "Clara, what are you talking about?" His voice quivered, betraying him. "Oh, don't play dumb," I said, pulling out my phone and opening the screenshots of their messages. "Here's one from Mia. Are you sure she won't notice if I stay over? Or this one from you. Clara's too trusting. We're safe." Mia tried to speak, her voice barely audible. "Clara, it's not what you think." I raised a hand, cutting her off. "Mia, don't. I know everything. 6 months of sneaking around behind my back. 6 months while I thought you were my best friend, while I shared my dreams of having a child with you." "It was a mistake," she cried, her eyes filling with tears. "We didn't mean to hurt you, Clara, I swear." "A mistake?" I laughed, but there was no joy in it. "A mistake is spilling coffee on a dress. Sleeping with my husband, Mia. That's betrayal." Aiden grabbed my hand, his fingers gripping too tightly. "Clara, let's talk in private. This isn't the place." "No, Aiden." I yanked my hand free, staring him down. "This is the perfect place. Everyone deserves to know what kind of people you are." I snapped my fingers, and the waiter, whom I'd briefed earlier, turned on the projector. The wall lit up with photos. Aiden and Mia leaving the Grand Plaza, their arms around each other by a car, their laughter at the Crossway Industries party. I watched the faces around the table shift, shock, disgust, disbelief. Sophie covered her mouth. Jacob leaned back as if distancing himself from the scene. "Clara, stop!" Mia screamed, standing up. Her voice shook, tears streaming down her face. "You can't do this! It's not fair!" "Not fair?" I locked eyes with her, feeling rage pulse through my veins. "Not fair is you lying to my face, Mia. Coming to my house, drinking my wine, hugging me, telling me you love me, then running off to him. You wore my perfume, Mia. I smelled it on your jacket." Lucas, who had been silent, finally spoke, his voice low and firm. "Clara, I had no idea. If I'd known, I would have told you." "Thank you, Lucas." I nodded, his support giving me strength. "But I already know everything, and I have one more announcement." I pulled an envelope from my purse and placed it on the table. "These are the results of a pregnancy test. I'm pregnant, Aiden, with your child. But now I'm wondering, do you even deserve to be its father?" Aiden went pale, his eyes wide. "Clara, you're pregnant?" "Yes, and I found out the same day I saw your messages. Funny, isn't it? I was planning a romantic evening, lighting candles, cooking your favorite steak to tell you, but instead, I learned you were cheating on me." Mia sobbed, burying her face in her hands. "Clara, I'm sorry. I didn't want it to turn out like this. I didn't know how it would end." "Didn't know?" I leaned toward her, my voice cold as ice. "You wanted my husband. You wanted my life. But you know what? You're not getting it." I stood, grabbing my purse and looking at everyone. "Enjoy your dinner. I'll cover the bill. But after this, I'm done. And Aiden, expect a call from my lawyer." I walked out of the restaurant, adrenaline pounding in my temples. Behind me, I heard voices. Sophie trying to calm Mia, Lucas demanding answers from Aiden, Jacob muttering about how this was too much. But I didn't care. I had taken the first step toward my freedom. The next day, I met Lucas at Morning Glow, a cozy cafe with wooden tables and the scent of freshly brewed coffee. He sat by the window, his blue eyes filled with sympathy as I recounted how I found the messages. His dark hair was slightly tousled, and I noticed him nervously fidgeting with the sleeve of his shirt.
"Clara, I had no idea,"
he said, squeezing my hand. His touch was warm, easing the storm inside me. "If I'd known, I would have—" "I know, Lucas," I interrupted. "You've always had my back. That's why I asked you here. I need your help."
"What kind?"
He leaned closer, his voice firm with resolve.
"I want them to pay for everything, not just emotionally. I want them to lose everything they care about."
Lucas frowned, his brows knitting together.
"What's your plan, Clara? This is serious."
I pulled out a folder of documents Mr. Cole had given me. "Aiden works at Crossway Industries. I found out he's been using company funds to pay for his affair with Mia. Hotels, restaurants, even her new car. All on the company's dime. Here's the proof. Bank statements, receipts, even emails where he asked his assistant to cover certain expenses." Lucas whistled, flipping through the papers.
This is embezzlement. If this is true, he won't just lose his job. He could go to jail."
"Exactly. And I want you to deliver these documents to their legal department. Anonymously, of course."
"Clara, are you sure?"
He looked at me, searching my eyes for any hint of doubt. This could destroy his career, and not just his. Mia will take a hit too. Her reputation. "They destroyed my marriage, Lucas," I said, locking eyes with him. "They shattered my trust in the people I loved. Mia came to my house, hugged me, then went to him. Aiden looked me in the eye and lied while I cried, thinking the problem was me. I'm not stopping until they fall." Lucas nodded slowly, closing the folder.
"All right, I'll do it. But Clara,
be careful. Aiden's not the type to go down without a fight. And Mia, she could get desperate." "I know," I smiled, but there was steel in that smile. "But I don't back down either." The next few weeks were a whirlwind. I hired a lawyer, Tobias, to start the divorce process. Aiden tried to reach me, dozens of missed calls, pleading texts, even a letter slipped under my door. "Clara, please, give me a chance to explain. I love you." I crumpled the paper and tossed it in the trash, but the words burned in my chest. Love? That wasn't love. That was a lie. My focus shifted to Mia. She was a beauty blogger with 500,000 Instagram followers, her reputation her biggest asset. I knew how to bring her down. Posing as a concerned follower, I contacted her biggest sponsors, Luxe Beauty, Glow Essence, Pure Charm, and sent them screenshots of her messages with Aiden, photos of their meetings, even an audio clip where she laughed about how easy it was to fool me. Mr. Cole was a genius. He even got security footage of Mia and Aiden kissing in a hotel elevator. Within a week, her posts started losing traction. Comments flooded in. "Is it true you're sleeping with a married man? How could you betray your friend?" Mia tried to defend herself, posting tearful stories. "I made a mistake, but I'm not a monster." But it only fanned the flames. One by one, brands dropped her. Lux Beauty publicly announced they were cutting ties due to a misalignment with our values. By the end of the second week, her account had lost 100,000 followers, and hashtags like #MayaLies and #betrayal blogger were trending. One evening, she showed up at my house. I opened the door and saw her. No makeup, in a plain gray t-shirt and jeans, her hair a mess. She didn't look like an Instagram star anymore, just a broken person. Her eyes were red from crying, her hands trembling. "Clara, please," she started, her voice hoarse. "I've lost everything. My sponsors, my followers, my career. I don't know what to do." I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. "You think I feel sorry for you? You slept with my husband, Mia. You knew he was married, knew I was your friend, and you did it anyway." "I loved him!" she cried, her voice breaking. "I thought he'd leave you. He said you were unhappy together, that you didn't make him happy." "And you believed him?" I laughed, but it was a bitter sound. "He lied to both of us. But you know what? I'm not going to cry over this. You're reaping what you sowed. Clara, I'm begging you, stop this." She stepped closer, her hands shaking. "I'll do anything. I'll disappear from your life. Just stop this." "Get out, Mia." I looked her in the eye, my voice hard as stone. "You made your choice. Now live with it." I closed the door, feeling the weight on my shoulders begin to lift. But this was just the beginning. A few days later, Aiden came home late at night. I was sitting in the living room with a glass of wine when I heard the key turn in the lock. He walked in, his suit jacket wrinkled, eyes red as if he hadn't slept in days. I knew Crossway Industries had launched an internal investigation after Lucas delivered the documents. His career was hanging by a thread.
"Clara, we need to talk,"
he said, tossing his keys on the table. His voice was tired, but there was still a hint of the confidence that once drew me to him.
"About what?"
I looked at him, not moving from the couch.
"About how you lied to me for 6 months? Or how you spent company money on your mistress?"
He froze, his face paling.
You gave them the documents?"
"Of course," I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Did you think I'd stay quiet after everything you've done?"
"Clara, I made a mistake."
He stepped closer, his voice softening, almost pleading.
"I love you, Mia. It was nothing. Just a stupid fling. We can fix this."
"Fix this?" I stood, feeling rage flare up again. "You watched me cry every month, thinking the problem was me, that I couldn't get pregnant. You held me, told me everything would be okay, then went to her. How could you?"
"I was weak."
He looked down, his hands clenching into fists.
"But I didn't want to lose you. You're my wife, Clara."
"Was your wife?" I stepped toward him, my voice cold. "Now I'm the woman who knows the truth, and I won't let you manipulate me anymore." He grabbed my arm, his fingers tightening.
"You can't just destroy everything. We're having a child, Clara."
I yanked my arm free, staring him down. "This child is mine, and I'll do everything to make sure they grow up without your lies. Now get out. You have 1 week to pack your things." I turned and walked to the bedroom, closing the door behind me. I heard him shouting something after me, but his words no longer mattered. The most painful moment came when I met with my mother, Alice. She called a week after the dinner at Blue Ridge, asking to meet. I knew it wouldn't be easy. Alice had always been closer to Mia. They'd been friends since college, and she often called her like a daughter. It always stung, but I kept quiet. Until now. We met at Sunrise Cafe, a cozy spot with soft couches and the scent of vanilla. Alice sat by the window, nervously twisting a napkin. She looked exhausted, her eyes red as if she'd been crying.
"Clara, I know how you feel,"
she began, her voice soft, almost pleading. "But you've gone too far. Mia's in a depression. She's lost everything. You can't do this to her." I leaned forward, my eyes narrowing. "Can't?" "She slept with my husband, Mom. And you knew about it, didn't you?" Her face paled, her fingers freezing on the napkin. I suspected, but—"
"Suspected?"
I cut her eye off, my voice sharp as a blade. "You saw how she looked at him, how they whispered at family dinners. You saw her wearing my perfume when she came to our house. And you said nothing." "I thought it would pass," she exclaimed, her voice breaking. "I didn't want to ruin your family, Clara. I wanted you to be happy." "Happy?" I laughed bitterly, leaning back in my chair. "My family's already ruined, and you chose Mia's side over mine. Why, Mom? Why did you always protect her?" Alice looked down, her hands trembling. "You're my daughter, Clara. I've always loved you. But Mia, she was so fragile, so vulnerable. I thought I was helping her." "Helping her?" I leaned closer, my voice low but laced with steel. "You helped her lie to me. You helped her destroy my life. Tell me, Mom, when did you stop loving me? When did I stop being your perfect daughter?" The silence between us was heavier than any words. Alice looked at me, tears welling in her eyes, but she didn't answer. I stood, tossing cash on the table for the coffee. "When you're ready to apologize, you know where to find me," I said, and walked out, my heart aching, but also lighter with relief. A month later, I decided to meet Mia one last time. I learned she'd moved to a small apartment on the outskirts of the city and texted her, suggesting we meet at Starlight Cafe. She agreed, and I could sense the desperation in her message. When I walked into the cafe, she was already there, sitting at a corner table. Her face was pale, dark circles under her eyes. She looked up, and I saw a mix of fear and shame in her gaze. "Come to gloat?" she asked, her voice hoarse. "No," I said, sitting across from her. "I came to end this." I pulled a small box from my purse and placed it on the table. "This is for you." Mia frowned but opened the box. Inside was a photo of the three of us, me, her, and Aiden, taken 2 years ago at a picnic. On the back, I'd written, "Sometimes the truth hurts, but it sets you free." "Why are you doing this?" Her voice trembled, tears spilling down her cheeks again. "Because you need to understand, Mia." I leaned closer. "This isn't about revenge. It's about consequences. You made your choice, and now you're living with it. But me, I'm choosing to move on." She stared at the photo, silent. I stood, leaving an envelope on the table. "This is a letter from my lawyer. He wants to discuss compensation for emotional distress. Think about it." I walked out of the cafe, feeling the last piece of pain dissolve into the evening air. Mia was behind me, as was Aiden, as was everything they tried to take from me. Another month passed. I moved into a new apartment in downtown Atlanta, bright, with large windows and a view of Piedmont Park. It was my space, my sanctuary. Lucas and Sophie helped with the move, bringing wine and pizza for an impromptu housewarming. We sat on the floor, surrounded by boxes, laughing like we used to. "You look happy," Sophie said, raising her glass. Her brown eyes sparkled. "For the first time in a long time." "Because I'm free," I replied, gazing at the city lights outside. "I'm not living in their lies anymore." My phone buzzed. It was an email from the fertility clinic where I'd been monitored. "Dear Ms. Wilson, we're pleased to inform you that your pregnancy is progressing normally. If you'd like to discuss next steps, we're here to help." I placed a hand on my stomach, feeling a gentle warmth. This child was mine, and I'd do everything to give them the best life. Aiden tried to contact me one last time, but I blocked his number. Mia vanished from social media, her account deleted. My mother sent a long apology text, but I wasn't ready to respond. I needed time. I stood by my apartment window watching the sunset. Somewhere out there, Aiden was piecing together the fragments of his life. Mia was grappling with the consequences of her actions, and my mother was learning to live with her guilt. But their world was no longer mine. On the windowsill sat a photo I'd found in an old box. Me as a little girl, drawing a rainbow on a piece of paper. It was a reminder of who I was before all this, before the lies, before the betrayal. And now I knew I could be that Clara again, only stronger, only better. I raised my glass, looking out at the city. "To a new life," I whispered. "To me." And in that moment, I understood. Revenge isn't just about destroying those who betrayed you. It's about building a new version of yourself, one that shines brighter than their lies. Did you like the story? Write your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next interesting story. See you tomorrow.